Hey there, it's Crystal Everdeen, and in this video I'm going to show you how to crochet this long sleeve top. I actually divided this tutorial into two videos, so stay tuned for part 2 of this tutorial. I will link it in the description box below once it is posted. Alrighty then, let's get started. I am using a 5mm hook and weighted 4 yarn from the brand Lion Brand. Of course, the size of the yarn and the size of the hook totally depend on your liking. The bigger the hook, the bigger the stitches are going to be, and of course the bigger the yarn, the fatter the stitches are going to be. And yes, I used nearly all of this pound of yarn for this project. Alrighty, so the first thing you're going to do is create a slip knot and then chain a chain that is long enough to go across your stomach area. So measure from hip to hip how long you need this chain to be. This is going to be the front part of your top. And after you have created a chain that is long enough to go from hip to hip, then you're going to go back on that chain using what I call a half double crochet. Not exactly sure if that's what it is actually called. But basically what I do is I yarn over, go through the stitch, yarn over, go back through the stitch, yarn over, and then go through all of the loops. Again, I know that's not the proper way to do a half double crochet, but that's just what I call it, and for the rest of this tutorial, that's just what I'm going to call it. Anyway, you're going to half double crochet all across your chain, and once you reach the very end, you're going to chain one, flip it over, and then continue on with this half double crochet, or actually any stitch that you prefer. I just chose the half double crochet or the modified Crystal Everdeen half double crochet because that's actually my favorite stitch, and I think it worked out pretty well for this top. So you're just going to continue making row after row, and I just wanted to add this in there. Yes, if it does spiral, it is fine. It will eventually not spiral if you just keep going, and you're just going to keep making rows and rows and rows until you put it against your chest and it covers from wherever you want it to cover. Mine is a crop top, so mine is from my belly button to my collarbone, but if you want it longer, then make sure when you put it against you, it covers from your hips to your collarbone. It's totally up to you. Okay, so you should be at the point where this whole rectangle of work covers from your collarbone to however low you want to cover it, either to your belly button or your hips or even lower, totally up to you. And now you're going to mark out where you're going to make the shoulder portion of it. So basically what I'm doing is marking out where I'm going to crochet. I'm only going to crochet from my index finger to my pinky finger. I'm going to make a small rectangle from there, and then I'm going to cut across. This is going to be the collar area, and then I'm going to go to the other side and make another small rectangle right here. And it may not make any sense right now, but once you see how it's all put together, it totally makes sense. So again, you're only going to crochet in a certain area, just where you want this shoulder portion to be. And if you're not sure what I mean by shoulder portion, don't worry, I will show you in a bit what I mean and what it's going to look like. But I just want to reiterate that what you're doing now is not going all the way from one end of the top to the other. You're only going to go through a couple of stitches, however many stitches that you need in order to cover your shoulders. And I know it's hard to explain, so I'm just going to show you what it should look like after you've done a couple of rows of this. It should look something like this. So again, what I was working on just previously was the right portion where I have my hands on. So again, I only worked on that little area of the top and not the whole thing. Now what I'm going to do is crochet my way across and work on the other side to make my other shoulder portion. And I hope that helped because it's really hard to explain this. And again, mine is a crop top. I did not go all the way, but you totally can go all the way down or even make this a dress if you want. It's totally up to you. So now that I'm done with that part of the shoulder, I'm going to crochet my way down. You could, of course, cut your yarn and then reattach it on the other side. I just like to just crochet my way down and across the neck portion to the other side and make the other shoulder portion of this top. So your goal is to make a top that is similar to this shape. you're going to first make a big rectangle that is large enough to cover from your collarbone to either your belly button if you're making a crop top, or your hips if you're making a regular top. And then you're going to focus on your shoulder portions and make sure that they cover from your collarbone to the top of your shoulder. And after you're done making this shape, you're actually going to detach your yarn from the yarn ball and go ahead and do the whole thing over again, because you need 2 of these, one for the front and one for the back. I just did mine the exact same size, but you can do measurements and stuff if you want. Just in case you have a bigger bust than I do, then your front is going to be bigger because it needs to cover more, but because I have a small bust, basically the front and the back portion of my body are almost the same size, and that's why I made mine the same size. And after you have completed that, now it's on to the sleeves, and what you're going to do is, of course, make a slip knot and then chain a chain that is long enough to go from your wrist all the way up to your shoulder. And after you have completed that chain, you're going to go back on that chain using the same stitch that you used last time. For me, it's going to be that half double crochet that I think is half double crochet, but I'm not 100% sure if it's half double crochet. And if it's not, then I already know somebody told me what it really is, but I keep forgetting. And I always call it half double crochet anyway, but anyway, once you reach the end of the chain using whatever stitch you would like, then you're going to, of course, chain 1 after each row and then make a gajillion rows until you get to the point where you fold it in half and it covers your arm and it has plenty of space for you to be comfortable. Now, of course, I don't mean that it fits your arm lengthwise, because we already know that it fits your arm lengthwise. That's why we made a very long chain. But what I mean is that you put your arm through it, and the biggest portion of your arm is nice and snug inside your sleeve. And once it is, you are done with that, and you're going to go ahead and make your other sleeve, doing the exact same thing, making a very long chain that goes from your wrist to your shoulder, and then making, I don't know how many rows it takes in order to cover your arms. And once you're done with both of those and both of your front and back pieces, then you are done, and we are done with this video, and it's on to part 2, which is how to attach everything and make the actual top. So check the description box below for the link to part 2 of this tutorial. If you're completely new to crochet or want to brush up on your crochet skills, I will link a Crocheting for Beginners video in the description box below as well. Finally, I'm going to put some frequently asked questions and the answers to them in the description box below, so before you have a question, you can go ahead and check out the description box first. Please give this video a thumbs up if you love crochet, and click that red subscribe button if you have not already, so I can see you next time. Bye!